We are ready for our next game, though, as we get into this round 11. We're going to be watching this matchup. It's Irelia up against Fiora. Only 4 Fioras making it into day 2. A lot of Irelias. We'll see how well these two players can fight up against each other, looking for those top 8 spots.
Yeah, not a lot of Fiora love generally across the event, which surprised me personally, so I'm glad to see it here. But against Irelia, could be a little bit of a sticky situation. This Blade Dancer does not make it easier for Fiora to make their game plan clear.
Having a quick look across the deck here, 3 Stellarcorn Herders. We have seen some Irelias going down to 1 or even none of those in the main deck. I like it. I think the extra card draw really does give you a lot of work. We're running the 1 Ride the Wind. Nothing too surprising overall here. Only a couple of Tide Turners, but overall you're building up towards a big Irelia. I like the Rosses there as support for that Irelia, because often we do see when the Irelia Fervent is gone, you then don't have the units to back it up.
No, the drop-off has been very clear, and that's been the downfall of the Irelia we've seen thus far. And against a deck like Fiora, you're going to need some beefy units to really close out those games. Fiora, of course, relying on buffing units, having really big turns, a couple of combat tricks here and there with Punch First, but ultimately lots of gear, lots of big guys. We're buffing things. We've got the set Brawler as well from Origins. We've got a lot of really kind of techie units for getting big damage on the board and keeping it there. So Irelia does have that kind of advantage in that they can also have some really big units going on, because that's their whole thing, is make a couple of units but don't let them fall. Whereas Fiora's kind of relying on always having big units and always taking things down, but not letting Fiora do that kind of buckles their game plan.
Yeah, getting over that might threshold as well, so important for the Fiora. I did notice no salvage run in the main there for Vendorty here on the Fiora, using instead the Akshan 2 of in this main deck as their equipment hate, their gear hate in this current meta. And I think having something in the main that does deal with gear is so important when you're looking at Guardian Angels, when you're looking even at Sirens for the Irelia. It's so important to be able to have a way to deal with that early doors. We've got the Zorn Warrens in the Monastery of Hirana. Obviously, Vendorty will be wanting to go down towards that bottom battlefield, getting themselves as many card draws as possible, which is something the Fiora can struggle with a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing really, but being able to spend buffs to do so is perfect, because you can make those, you can have that. So it's a nice combination of going, okay, well, I don't have great natural card draw, but that's okay for the moment.
Yeah. And we are just having a quick word on turn 1 there with the judges. It seems to make sure that everything is correct. We'll work out exactly what that was. But yeah, not really much gameplay to analyze yet. 2 runes were channeled, and I don't think there was an easy 2-drop in hand. So
no, and I think that's the thing. You want that easy curve, don't you? You need that early 2-drop just to be able to start getting things on the board, start making it kind of worthwhile. You want the 2-drops, then into like a Doran's Blade, and then into those 4-drops, and so on and so forth.
Now let's see where Vendorty goes. It's just going to be the Fiora to kick us off, getting Worthy out on the battlefield. Worthy, great. When a unit you control becomes mighty, you can pay a power to ready that unit. Gives you, again, pseudo-accelerate is the way that we tend to talk about this. Slightly cheaper, and when you play something like the set Brawler, it immediately buffs itself. It becomes Worthy. You get the Fiora Duelist, Grand Duelist trigger off it to channel an extra rune, and then you can even use that extra rune to pay the power cost for Fiora Worthy to then ready the set. But here's the Ezreal. It's going to get the discard onto the scrap heap, meaning we are drawing 3 cards here. Something that Irelia does so well is get through a bunch of these top cards.
And honestly, that's kind of what we want to be doing at this stage of the game. We want to be building that hand, building the board, and just slow rolling into this battle, because there's going to be a lot of big fights coming our way on these battlefields. So Irelia kind of wants to go slow in this moment, because trying to go too early into a Fiora can be really devastating, especially with the amount that they can kind of buff those units up or do some extra damage during combat. It's not worthwhile right now to kind of push into anything too early.
Yeah.
Fiora being out this early as well is really good. We've got the set to originally like straight away bring the buff, and then of course we can start readying things right away.
We'll get the buff on it. You don't have to immediately ready here. There is a kind of an attritional thing between these 2 decks where I think Irelia slightly favored into Fiora just because of the ability to pull the Irelia out, to actually overbuff her, to get past the might thresholds of the set and the Fiora Worthy. But because of that, if you're Vendorty, you don't want to push too many of your resources in early doors, right? If you can find a good trade angle onto Irelia, it makes sense. But otherwise, I expect to see this more slower, attritional game in the early game while both the players kind of establish their base.
Yeah, which is honestly really respectable. Again, like, I'm not the patient kind. I would be like, yeah, get me in there. But these guys are the experts on these decks and very much showing us for why. Looking like we're eyeing up the Ezreal again. Yeah, I like that. Honestly, might as well get more card draw onto the board right now. We've got a called shot as well as a possibility.
Yeah, I guess there's the argument to do the called shot anyway. The Ezreal reduces the optional cost of the repeat, but you've already got one Ezreal that's reducing that cost. But if you just want the draw discard from this initial Ezreal, you can go for that instead. I didn't see a scrap heap in hand, so just going to discard. Is it going to be the Guardian Angel? Okay. Getting rid of one of those protection tools, drawing into a seal.
Against Fiora.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's one of the decks where you want to keep those protection tools really under your belt. So that surprised me. We're just passing over to Vendorty there. Set readies, and so does Fiora. Of course, we got the we got the extra rune channeled from Fiora's legend ability last turn. So we're doing really well for rune production here, which is something that kind of set Fiora decks have struggled with in the past.
Yeah, if you're LSU, just thinking about that Guardian Angel discard, a lot of your decks do like to play salvage in the main, and it's a very easy, low-cost killer gear draw card. There's also the Akshan, and then you're stealing a Guardian Angel, which Fiora doesn't usually have access to, not being in Calm Domain, right? So I kind of get the idea of, okay, maybe this Guardian Angel isn't as effective for me as it would be in other matchups. Set's going to go in. We'll get the Conquer and the Monastery of Fiora trigger. Going to leave the buff on there, but what's technically happened here is a buff has been sacrificed for the Monastery of Fiora draw trigger, and then a rebuff has come on from the Conquer trigger. Vendorty there stacking them, but it doesn't really make much sense to take the buff off, draw the card, then put the buff back on, right?
It's just a bit of a waste there, but it's understandable that, like, Set is a great maneuverability card in this instance, and that's where a lot of your card draw will come from, is just moving that set in and out so that you can draw cards effectively and spend those buffs. But then again, you kind of want to keep the buffs for attacking turns as well, because it can increase your might there to 8, which is humongous. So it's a nice flexibility spot you get. You either get power from it, or you get a card draw, and both are powerful in their own right. It's just nice that you can choose the situation that fits. Yeah.
Looks like we might be having a small discussion about the timing of a Grand Duelist trigger here, because the set, when you get rid of the buff, it goes below the Mighty Threshold. You then draw the card, and then you rebuff, it goes above the Mighty Threshold. Grand Duelist can then be exhausted, to get yourself a rune exhausted. But it looks like the Vendorty is just having a quick chat with the judges to make sure everything was done appropriately. It may have been that we drew the card a slight bit too early, or maybe we accidentally revealed from the top of the deck, as there is going to be a quick deck check happening.
Understandably, these interactions, especially where you had to remove the buff, and with Mighty being your unit has to be at 5, and then you're right, dipping below and above that threshold can complicate things slightly.
It's one of those things where shortcuts are great because they do allow you just to get through those few triggers a little bit quicker. But if you are a little bit more deliberate, it means that you don't fall into positions like this. It also looked like maybe Vendorty needed to shuffle the top of his deck, not including the cards recycled so far. Perhaps 2 cards came off at once or something. Judges have organized it. It's all sorted. Both the players happy as we go into the next portion of this turn. Victorious coming down. Doran's Blade there is going to make it mighty as well, giving it deflect, ganking, and shield.
That's a lot of effects, and they're all very good in their own right, but we also get to then continue with all of that might into the next turn, which is fantastic, kind of beefing up this battlefield, making sure that kind of Fiora's doing what Fiora does and just makes it kind of feeling like it's impenetrable.
Yeah, a lot of might on that bottom battlefield right now. 5 from the set, and then 7 from the Fiora on attack. That is, or when she is defending, she is 7 because of the shield. Currently, she is 6 because you don't get shield unless you're on the defense. But Irelia, not very good targeted removal. It's things like the fight or flight that are bouncing them back, but you don't have falling stars, you don't have singularities, you don't have those easy, I will just kill your unit before we have to get into combat.
No, exactly. Irelia also kind of benefits from kind of buffing your units, making things bigger, going on in there and actually fighting the real fight, Whereas that's not great for Fiora. Like, we don't want that. We want to be being the aggressor, not taking the aggression.
Yeah.
So it does put Irelia in the driver's seat a little bit for those combats, which isn't what we want. So we're going to go in with, of course, the Seal of Discord for a cold shot.
Another Ezreal. I think that might be a few too many. 2 Ezreals, nice. 3 Ezreals, it's a little bit overkill, and it is going to go to the bottom. We'll go through the second cold shot trigger here. Not so fast, and a tide turn. A tide turn obviously really effective later on to make sure your Irelia Fervent is protected well.
And that's what we need, and that's why Guardian Angel was kind of a, like you say, it was like, oh, is that too easy to remove from play or even to take from play? So actually a tide turner maybe is an option here, but no, we're going to go for the not so fast just to give a little bit of flexibility, and I respect that. You know, the not so fast is really good against some of Vendorty's larger spells that can help Fiora to stay in the game, and we're definitely going to see those big tussles at battlefields come really soon. So probably just preparing for the inevitability of a lot of kind of pumping spells.
Yeah, it makes sense that you want to be able to protect that Irelia later on with the not so fast. Double Rasa in hand as well here for LSU, but not the largest of trashes. I think there's only 4 cards in there right now. Don't really want to be taking big combats on that Monastery of Harana. Can go up towards the Zorn Warrens with one of these Ezreals. With double on guard, you're getting the Ezreal up to... If it attacks in alone, you're giving it +4. That takes you to 7. That would be enough to kill off one of these units, and perhaps sacking an Ezreal is enough. You also have the Defiant Dance and the Discipline, which gives you another effective 4, and then -2.
And this is exactly those combats I was talking about.
This is the attritional war.
This is it. And it's just kind of building up your hand until you think you have the advantage over your opponent. And then kind of seeing that they've got not too many runes ready so that they can't react in time. And it's all about that back and forth. So going with the Discipline there. So we've got a +2 and a draw 1 on the Ezreal. So Ezreal's a little bigger now at 5.
Yeah, on this bottom battlefield on Monastery of Harana, we currently have 6 from the Fiora, and then 5, apparently I can't write, here we go. And then 5 from the set. This will go up to 7.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for damage, you do need to get over the 12 mark, which is possible with the Discipline and with the Defiant Dance. At the moment we're at 5, we've got double on guards, which gives us another +4. That will take us up to 9. And then with the DD, you take yourself to 11, and then your opposition down to 9. But Ezreal's just going to go up to Zorn Warrens. We'll go for the discard draw.
I think that's really nice here. You're just kind of, again, giving yourself every option humanly possible. You want to make sure that every ball is in your court before you make your final decisions. The extra card could be the difference between winning or losing this combat, because this combat is where it's coming down to, is this big fight at the end of this turn.
The thing that LSU has to play around as well as a punch first. We have enough body runes, we have 1 energy available on Vendorty's side, so the question is, do you risk it for, you're going to risk it for the biscuit. Ezreal going in, currently at 5.
They've got a lot in their court, and we just got the Defy off the card draw there as well, so that could be what helps us. We'll go for the on guard first, so we're up a little bit more now.
My handwriting is so bad, but I hope that helps that you can see there's 12 might on that side right now, as you say.
He's going in alone, so the on guard is giving a +2.
Yep. Oh, I can just do this. There we go.
There you go.
12 on this side. On guard gives +2. We're now at 7. Another on guard will get us to 9. And then we need to Defiant Dance, probably the set to avoid the deflect that's on the Fiora.
Yeah, we don't want to be paying that deflect cost. Something that Fiora has done very well into kind of Kai'Sa and Irelia style decks in the past, where they're forcing the opponent to have to use more resources where they really don't want to.
Is it the Defiant Dance?
Oh, yeah,
Defiant Dance first. Okay, so that's a -2. Target set.
Yeah.
That takes us down to 10. Ezreal gets the +2, goes to 9.
And then I expect we're going to see another on guard.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. And this is the line we talked about at the start of the turn. Blowing out the set and the Fiora would be huge. On guard down 4-11.
Can there be a response? We have more response in hand, though, of our own. We've got deflects.
Punch first doesn't, it gets around deflect, which is huge here, right, with the double power.
It's too big. That punch is just too big. Okay.
Buff spent,
Call to
glory, but that does not get round deflect.
It doesn't, so deflect might come out here. This is that huge tussle. This is going to be such an invigorating match because we just see these huge battles whenever it kicks off at a battlefield. They're just going to go head-to-head, toe-to-toe, just like this. And that Call to Glory can be played for free if you spend a buff, which is great. So it's got a +3 now, but of course it got defied.
That it did. Down to 11. There's the punch first. Afterwards, the Call to Glory coming out. So in total, we have -2 on the set, takes it down to 2, +5 puts it up to 7. +7 is 14 in totality, and I think we are out of gas on the side of LSU.
Completely out of gas. We're out of runes to play. We haven't got really anything low cost left in the hand that can be utilized. So it looks like Ezreal is taken down, and going in aggressive didn't work out.
Yeah. We lose the Defiant Dance, we lose 2 on guards, we lose a Discipline.
That's so many resources early in the game. That's really scary for LSU. Vendorty probably feeling pretty good about managing to come out of that combat alive with Set still there. Gaining that hold point's going to be huge as well. Wowza, that's not what I was expecting from that combat.
Absolutely massive. The good thing for LSU is now your trash is a lot larger than it was a few moments ago. You can see the count. With the double Rasa in hand, you can get them out right now, and you did manage to get rid of the Fiora victorious. However, on the other side, Vendorty is still in a strong spot, can make that set mighty with the Doran's Blade, can then, when it becomes mighty, ready it. So take it back to base, Doran's Blade, ready it. Instead, not going to do that. Just going in with the Fiora. Going to try and control this Monastery of Hirana.
We're bringing it back with the Fiora, making it mighty. We're rebuilding the board. We're saying, okay, well, you couldn't deal with that, and you had so much in hand. So if I just rebuild that same structure, then surely the result must be the same. So we're hoping, I think, for the same result there. Or maybe bringing it, we're going to gank across and take the Ezreal.
Gank across, take down the Ez, and we used that Fiora to put the pressure down onto LSU, and now LSU sitting at 3 runes and no units on the battlefield or in base.
That's wild. That's the overpowering ability of Fiora once she is mighty. She gets so many effects: deflect, ganking, and shield. Hello, do you want more? No, it's perfect. Set going back to base, I think that's brilliant. Protect it, doesn't have a buff. You don't need to leave it there, and it's just a bit vulnerable.
It also allows you to reconquer next turn and get a buff and get the mighty trigger once again. Vendorty in a really good spot right now, but we still haven't seen LSU bring out that Irelia Fervent. Did expend a lot of their resources to try and win out on that previous combat. Does have a Last Rites in hand, has a couple of Rastas as well, a stack deck alongside it. So has a few ways to regenerate a hand advantage, but it is going to take a couple of turns, and by then, Vendorty is going to be at 5, maybe 6 points.
And that's exactly it. Vendorty's already got units in play. They're strong units. They've got protection, they've got buffs, and it's going to take us a while because we can't ready units right away in a lot of circumstances here. So it could be a little bit of a struggle to get things kind of moving again, and I think that's the struggle, is we can get things down, we can rebuild, we can reestablish our board, we can reestablish our hand, we're going to start with a stacked deck to begin that process, but can we then actually make anything actionable this turn?
Stack deck down. We see the Guardian Angel, a Discipline, and a third card that is...
Okay, well, a Discipline's very helpful in this instance.
Yeah, Stellar Conherder would be great, but there's such an easy way for it to be wiped away from the board if it is left at one of those battlefields. Discipline does give us card draw.
Exactly.
Guardian Angel, we still have to play around the possibility of Salvage or Akshan coming out of the Fiora.
That's a tough decision. I think I would go for the cheaper card draw here. I'd go for the Discipline personally.
I mean, the risk with Discipline is you don't really have a unit to buff right now. It does work out well later on, but for the moment, it's not as easy as just, I'll just buff a unit and then it's okay.
Okay, we got it. We do have another stack deck in hand, so we can go for that, but it looks like we go for the Rasa first.
Okay.
bringing that into play, and again, that gets us a unit on board, which is very much needed at the moment, and it's a strong one at that, so we'd only have to pay a couple because thankfully there's lots of cards in the trash.
Okay, I see, here's the thing. When I was talking about the discipline, I was like, oh, you don't really want to just buff your opponent's units, right? You know, you do still get the draw one, but we're kind of doing that on the Rasa because we can still ready it with the Blade Dancer, so Rasa will get that +2, go to 8 might, we'll get the card draw out of discipline, and then we'll look to try and take down this Fiora. Still 3 runes available for Vendorty, importantly not 2 bodies though, so no possibility of a punch first.
And that's the thing, like I said at the start of the turn, it's going to be about finding a way to ready a unit and get it moving and get things actually actionable. We now have that pipeline thanks to that stack deck.
Yeah, we do. Let's see where we go from here.
Another stack deck, yep, just keep getting things into that hand, keep the flourish going, keep the momentum solid, because that's what we need at this point. And we don't want to be kind of having these cards, like actually these draws aren't great, I'm not gonna lie. Like that discipline was lovely, but this one, bit of a trickier situation. But we're putting cards that we don't need right now to the bottom of the deck. And it's a shame about the Stellarcorn herders, because I would really love to see those in this match, but they're just too expensive right now for the power they're dishing out.
Well, the Fiora is going to fall.
Which is kind of big. Fiora's a really important unit in this matchup.
It is. I think for the moment, Vendorty will still be okay with the position of the game. That Rasa goes down to 6 after this turn anyway. We'll see the discard draw trigger. Traveling Merchant put into the trash and then a scrap heap picked up, which is not what you want to see, because not only have you drawn the cards that you wish you had discarded, you've also discarded the way that you would discard that card. So a little bit unfortunate for LSU. Can, of course, next turn bring this Rasa back, assuming it survives, and then look to go back to Zorn Warrens, either with the Rasa or with something else, to get the next discard trigger. Or you can just play out the scrap heap if you so desire.
If you need to, yeah, that would work out as well. So we're ready on Vendorty's board now. Lots of runes, which is really nice to see. But I'm not sure where we go from here. Is it just kind of continue that onslaught, continue overwhelming battlefields, continue to buff up our guys? I'm not sure if we've got any other equipment right now to be able to help out. I haven't really seen much of the hand, so I'm not certain where we can go. Ideally, we kind of want to make this Fiora mighty, but we also want Set, so it's a tough one. Set only needs to conquer to become mighty, though, as we do get the buff.
We're going big. Is this like a Harness Dragon?
Oh, it is
okay.
A Harness Dragon. What a call. Okay, Harness Dragon just immediately removes one of your opponent's units from play, so that Rasa's gone. Yeah,
massive there. Harness Dragon just coming out as that kill spell. Does give you a huge amount of might as well, but doesn't become mighty, importantly, isn't underneath that threshold. Does allow you to go in with the set, though, get the conquer, get yourself a buff, get that mighty trigger. Yeah, just wanders it. He's set, he goes where he pleases. I thought there was someone here, but my dragon dealt with it earlier. My father said I had it. Was it mother said I had a temper? And then, buff it up. Set once again. His favorite thing to be is buff. The favorite thing to be is buff. It's so true. It's so true. Grew up in the fighting pits. This Vestayan warrior, able to do anything he pleases. Gets the buff, gets readied as well. Can be drawn out of this battlefield if Vendorty desires, just to add that extra degree of protection. And that's exactly what is going to happen.
Bringing it back again. Like, there's not a lot in an Irelia deck that can do anything about things in the base. We're just kind of chilling there. So actually, it's a nice place to be. We can get those buff effects as well next time for the Conkers. And so actually bringing the effect to bring your units back to the base for a Fiora deck is great. We love that, and there's so much might on the on the battlefields as a potential for next turn that you kind of don't need to worry too much. Irelia kind of on the back foot right now, which is unexpected in this matchup. Looks like we might have to just go in to try and draw more cards, but I'm not sure, other than Stellarcorns, how we're achieving that.
It's a tough one for LSU because you invested a lot into the hopes of killing a Set and a Fiora with an Ezreal. And I entirely understand why you would do that. You set your opponent back so far in terms of tempo on the play that it becomes really difficult for them to regain that advantage. You can then play your Fiora out, start moving her around. It becomes so difficult for Vendorty. But when you lose that trade, you are put so far behind. We've seen a couple of stack decks, as you say, the Stellarcorn exists as well, but you can't play a Stellarcorn out easily into a set Harness Dragon Fiora worthy. It is just too difficult for you to do. So instead we will go for the Rasa, the last rites. We will activate our Blade Dancer to ready this Rasa with the equip going in from the last right. So what are we putting on the bottom here?
Are we going to get back? Yeah, Defiant Dance, just to, again, just try and give us that combat advantage that we're going to need. I think that's the thing, or maybe, considering
a couple of buffs,
guard,
like defensive or aggressive plays, if you so desire.
Yeah,
I mean,
so they're going to the bottom. They're not going to be used again, and then we'll take something with our last rights. I'm surprised that they went back, but I guess,
you don't really have recursion, right,
no, exactly.
in the Irelia deck, so that your recursion is, okay, we'll recycle these, and maybe I'll recycle enough and stack deck enough to actually get back to those cards, but it's very unlikely that you ever get to that point. Now with the Rasa going in, you can discard the scrap heap to the Zorn Warren's trigger. You also have the Conquer trigger from the last rights. What are we going for, LSU?
Maybe another Rasa again. Yeah, just going straight back in.
It's also cheap.
It's cheap, it's cheerful. Not that cheerful. It's cheap, it's not cheerful, and honestly, it's probably the best choice here. It's got high might level, which you need going into this matchup, and at the moment, it's going to be our cheapest option to be able to leave some runes for other costs this turn, or just to leave standing in case of combat. At the moment, you're looking at needing to gain more points. You need the point advantage here, because otherwise Set and Fiora are just going to run away with it with their new pet dragon.
I think there's also the argument of where does LSU place this, and that's what they're thinking about right now. You can put it onto Zorn Warrens and then have an effective 14 might at that top battlefield, but if you do that and then get blown out,
that's a nightmare.
It's so doomed. Like, you have nothing to put your last rights on apart from Irelia Fervent sitting in your champion unit zone. So yeah, deciding instead to go to base. We'll play out the Rasa, has 3 energy up, a couple of points and prods coming out here from Vendorty, so we'll see exactly what is going on there. A little bit of a discussion happening, but I don't think it's anything too consequential. Already a thumbs up from Vendorty as well.
Looks like we're good to go. It's a tough situation. You've got to redevelop the board, but you also need to be actually scoring points, because we need those points to win. And at this point, the last rights feels dangerous in there alone. It doesn't feel good to have Fiora, Set, and a dragon, a harness dragon, kind of staring down at you when you know you need that last rights for your recursion. And there's no way to get it back into the base, so it does just kind of have to sit there. And then you're at the mercy of all of these mercenaries who can take you down.
I was thinking about whether you'd want to hide a Tide Turner for LSU here as well, and you Tide Turner onto Zorn Warrens, you then can use the Rasa to come in, get yourself up to that 14 might mark, and that beats a Harness Dragon and a Set. That's only 11. Even with the Doran's Blade equipped as well, it would win out on the trade.
Looks like that was spending a buff to make Set a lot bigger, doubling his might up to 8 now. So, and then we of course get the Fiora trigger. We get to channel that rune exhausted. So then that's just increasing our fervorance for next turn, making it even more difficult for our opponent to make a comeback. When you look at the rune difference between these decks right now, you can see the Vendorty's in a really strong, commanding position to make comebacks and to also have the advantage during combat.
So now 14 might on the side of Vendorty, at least I'm only looking at the Harness Dragon and the Set Brawler because you don't really want to send Fiora Worthy in. Her ability to ready your units when they come out and become mighty is so powerful. And with the Doran's Blade, could equip onto that Harness Dragon to get it up to 8 itself. Instead, it's Akshan, and we talked about the power of Akshan, the power to steal.
Fast.
I mean, that's what you keep it for. That's why you pulled it off one of those stack decks earlier on. Stops you from having that stolen away.
Akshan was duped by the Not So Fast, and that does not take effect, and it would have been quite devastating, definitely picking LSU's board apart. But again, we had to spend resources, and we're down to 2 runes now. It's pretty devastating. So regardless, that Akshan still had a really big effect, even though it wasn't the initial desired effect.
Yeah, it means now you're looking at, like, do you have an on guard for this Rasa, right? That's all you can really think about. And
we're attaching.
As far as I can see, there's not one in hand.
Doran's
attaching
Blade's
to
going
the
to set.
So this puts you to 10. Which would mean an on-guard still means that you only trade. Rasa's going to go down.
Last right still in play, but now won't have that hold effect.
Set will get the Conquer trigger, gets himself a buff. And then
this is a big set.
Yeah, Zorn Warren's trigger as well. So what are we discarding here, Vendorty? Let's have a mosey. Doesn't have a massive grip, but has a few cards. And Unsung Hero, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fodder at this point.
That's fine.
We don't care about the Unsung Hero.
No, that's an early game card at its best. Right now, it's kind of like, oh no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Not a problem at all. And then it's whether you kind of, what are we on, 5 points? So we kind of do want to push for the 6 here, I'd say. So you do go in with the Harnessed Dragon.
And there's 6.
Yep, no, there's no way for that to be countered in any consequence. Spending that buff to draw a card, now that we have the ability to do so. It's kind of like we got to trade a bad card for a good card, hopefully, with that. So there's another really good reason to go for the Monastery at that point, is just being able to spend that buff that we actually don't need right now. We've got Doran's Blade, we're Mighty kind of permanently for the moment.
Was the Harnessed Dragon buffed?
No, the set was buffed, but you can spend the buff from wherever.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So,
you're 100% right, yeah.
The buff was on the set, but because we are in control of Monastery.
Buff, it's not spend a buff that is here.
That's here, spend a buff.
Right.
So you can spend the one that's on the set or one in base.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And LSU going to get up to 4 runes, needs to really gain control of one of these battlefields. Has a Ride the Wind in hand. Rasa with the last rights on it gets pretty strong. Up to 8 would outmatch the Harnessed Dragon, but with 3 runes up, Vendorty has a plethora of tricks. Still another punch first, a possibility. Yep,
you've always got to be concerned about punches. I don't like being punched, so I don't think Rasa would either.
Yeah, nor do I. I mean, Rasa, you know, they've sunned it a few times. I'm sure they've been punched a few times. Do you think you could become sort of like immune to the punches? Obviously they still hurt, but it's like, I'm used to this, you know.
God, not again.
Yeah, it's just another punch for me.
Rasa once again with the last rights, kind of moving in on that set, going for another big showdown potential.
The focus. And here we go. It's a punch first. It's a punch first. Yeah, what a surprise. What a surprise. Vendorty will crack out the fists.
Oh, gosh.
Push the set up to 11.
You know when you see those 2 runes go
turn
upside down,
over.
you're like, oh, I know, it's the punch. Literally going up to 11
here.
Yeah,
it's Spinal Tap, you know?
That's wild.
Rasa is struggling in this position. 2 can ride the wind over to the Harnessed Dragon.
Yeah, looks like that's the play, is try again, but over there. It's like, oh, that didn't quite work out. Poke the bear, didn't work. Let's hop on over to the next battlefield and see if I can take this dragon by surprise instead.
Well, Vendorty doesn't have the runes for an extra punch first here on the Harnessed Dragon, so it does become a little bit harder for him to truly protect, but where are we going? Riposte. Riposte. You are going to stay here, my friend. I'm going to buff up my set. One of the best signature spells in the game. Riposte, stopping any chance of Rasa getting out of the fight.
Riposte says, no, you stay with me. And unfortunately, that spells disaster for Rasa. Last Rites once again bouncing back to the base. Not getting that Conquer ability is huge. Really looks like the writing's on the wall here. Vendorty really taking a commanding presence, making sure they're winning those combats.
LSU's last option, Blade Dance. So last rights onto your Rasa, Blade Dancer trigger to ready the Rasa, go into the Harnessed Dragon. There's no runes available for Vendorty, so won't be able to protect against this, but still, Vendorty has the Akshan later on. Like, that's a massive trash for LSU.
Trash, but LSU has no runes now.
Yeah.
So we're going to go down to just having 2 at the beginning of our turn, and is that going to be enough to keep up with Vendorty's onslaught? We have 2 more units in base. And although this Rasa might manage to get a point here, I don't know if it's going to be enough to just keep command enough of this battlefield.
We are floating the 2 energy, so we can get back a 2-cost unit. Traveling Merchant going to be the choice. I mean, it's 2 might more. It's 2 might more. Gets us up to 10 on this Monastery of Hirana. Do you want to play the base?
Considering maybe keeping it in base. I think you've got to buff up that Monastery. I think you've got to try and hold it away from Vendorty at this stage.
I agree. So it will go to the Monastery. Gets us up to 12 might, down towards that bottom side.
Vendorty's going to hold. Vendorty. Let's see if Vendorty can clutch together the win. This could be the turn if they can piece it together and take down LSU's 1 battlefield.
With 5 runes, the set unable to move unless it is brought back made not mighty, then readied somehow. We'll see where Vendorty decides to go. Does have 7 might in base. Needs to add 4 to that to be able to take over the Monastery of Fiora and go 1-0 up in this round 11 performance. Nothing in hand that LSU can do, as you say. No runes available.
No runes.
But
and that gives Vendorty the notion that it's kind of safe to do whatever he wants to do this turn. There are no runes in play. You can do nothing. Cool. I'm a free agent here to play another set brawler.
And it's just going to get buffed. Go mighty.
Get
recycle
readied.
a rune. So we channel 1 exhausted, then we recycle to the Fiora. Ready it up. Spend the buff, go to 8, go in, win the combat. Vendorty takes game 1.
The underdog, Fiora,
Yeah.
not very well represented in day 2, but I've always believed taking the big win away from Irelia, who we thought would have the advantage.
Yeah, I thought Irelia was favored in the matchup. I do think LSU will be looking back at that 4-card investment into the Ezreal to try and clear out the set and the Fiora early on and be kicking themselves. It did not go well at all, and it cost them so much in terms of early cards, in terms of early tempo. In the sideboard for Vendorty, we have a couple of cannon barrages and a couple of unyielding spirits. Not really going to bring those in. Maybe you could add in the sabotages just to try and play a little bit of hand disruption into this Irelia, but so far, Vendorty having an absolute stormer.
Yeah, Fiora's a really strong deck, and I think it's been underestimated throughout this competition. It's actually one of the decks that I was considering bringing if I was playing this event, and it hasn't had great conversion over to day 2, but that's because it didn't have a great showing in day 1, and those who did come over to our second day seem to be doing really well. So I'm really proud and really happy to see that they're still on in it. Now for LSU, we're probably looking at some more of these kind of comeback mechanics that we're going to need. Maybe the hard bargain and another not so fast.
Hard bargain, just making the Fiora spend a little bit more of her energy, make it a little bit harder for her to actually have as effective turns. It's when you get into these like attritional wars on a battlefield, having a hard bargain at that point just does give you that little bit of acceleration that you need overall. Apart from that, I don't see major changes.
No.
I do really think LSU will, we call it the salty run back in League, if you heard of a salty run back.
No.
So it's when, in the old days, when you were drafting a 5-game series, you could pick the same champions again.
Yeah.
So a team would lose and then pick the same draft, the same 5 champions. We call it, it's a salty run back. Like, they think they just misplayed and they can play it better.
So
they're salty, so they're going to run it back.
They're going to run it back.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if LSU goes for a predominantly salty run back here. I don't think there's major changes to be made.
It very, very much could happen. Now, I think there's something that's really poignant right now is that the battlefields that are chosen aren't possibly going to be as advantageous as last time. We've got, Candlelit Sanctum and Sunken Temple.
Yeah. Sunken Temple really good for the Fiora when you are getting those mighty units in. Candlelit Sanctum obviously giving you those extra cards as well.
Starting off with just a Traveling Merchant for LSU. Not a bad start for Irelia. We want those low-cost units in play as soon as possible. And Vendorty's turn looking quite simple, just bringing out the Fiora and moving on into LSU's second turn, where we start to see a bit more dynamicism from the Irelia matchup. We might be able to get a Stellarcorn down now, actually, which might help out with that card draw that we were lacking last game. Yeah,
nice low-cost units here for LSU. Stellarcorn's still 4. It's expensive enough, but the ability to get it out early when you know it's only a Fiora worthy on the other side of the battlefield makes you a lot more comfortable. This Fiora worthy, we saw it from Vendorty. Against someone like a Kaiser, you wouldn't be doing this. You don't want to play something in your base when it can get killed by a falling star, but here it's like, okay, I know LSU is not playing targeted removal. He doesn't have like Cull the Weaks and such that he can use against me. Instead, I can play this out. I can use it for the rest of the game. Whereas LSU will be trying to get that Stellarcorn herder out as soon as possible. Traveling Merchant not moving around on LSU's turn. We go back over to Vendorty, who's going to put down that Set Brawler.
Saw to great effect last game. Is Set going to once again just be an overwhelmingly strong unit and really kind of make Irelia sweat to be able to overtake it. Of course, on play and on Conquer, we get that buff, so Set is, of course, now even bigger and a mighty unit, which is kind of what we're aiming towards. It not only allows us to channel more runes faster, but also allows us just to be bigger into these Irelia decks who do like to kind of try and, like we said yesterday, protect the princess.
Yeah. I think it's, I mean, it's looking like another Stellar Corn, though, with 5 tapped. I wonder, is it just going to be the Irelia Fervent? Only 1 rune left to help defend it, but it's not going to go out. Turn past again without the Stellar Corn moving forward. LSU, even with a second Stellar Corn in hand, deciding that he wants to make sure this is well protected when it does start advancing for that extra card draw as the game goes on.
Nice thing about Irelia here is at least it does have the deflect cost, so if you're not in a pure combat situation, you do have kind of spells slinging around, then that does help out with this matchup. But in this instance, Vendorty's probably going to be trying to go in with as much raw power as possible, and that's going to be where the unit's might is much overwhelmed when it comes to Irelia.
See, for the moment, I think Vendorty expected to take the first step onto a battlefield of the 2 players. Unsung Hero being used here. Good death knell effect, but you do need to find 3 might from somewhere to get it up above that mighty threshold, as it only sits at 2.
Yeah,
I mean, draw 2 is huge, and
well,
you need to find 3 might from somewhere.
There it is. There is the big old sword, the BF sword. It certainly is big, and it's going to help out perfectly to make that unit mighty.
I like the fact you are practicing the flavor text these days.
I'm doing my best.
That's good, yeah. Going to chuck this onto the Unsung Hero most probably, then can ready it with the Fiora, also channel the rune from your Grand Duelist Legend, ready it with the Fiora, then go in probably towards Sunken Temple. You have 1 rune up, you can pay the cost to get that card draw. But instead of readying it, just puts the BF sword on and decides against sending it into battle. Fiora Worthy on the other side does put a little bit of pressure down on you. I just expected you to want to get the extra card draws out of the death knell from Unsung Hero. Yeah,
I'm a bit surprised about that, but then again, we're not the experts, we're on the 100%. Desk, and I'm certain they've got a game plan in mind. And sometimes going slow, we've seen it to great effect throughout this tournament, from being able to maybe allow your opponents to kind of get smaller units stuck in bases. Maybe that's what we're going in battlefields. Maybe that's what we're going for. Knowing that LSU was wanting the card draw off the Stellar Corn and possibly won't be able to bring it back to base, and then leaving that really kind of vulnerable unit there means that you get to take it out with ease, and then you're getting the benefit of battle as well.
So if anyone doesn't know Candlelock Sanctum, you get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You can recycle 1 or both of them and then put them back down in any order you desire on the top for the ones that you remain in your hand, I guess. At the moment, we have a Rebuke and an On Guard. In hand, we've got double Rasa, a Defy, a Seal. Having a Rebuke would be really nice.
It would.
And they are going to go down. Rebuke on top, On Guard on the bottom is how I believe that ended up.
It also kind of gives you a little bit of a spy into what units you're going to have available for the next few turns, because we've got quite expensive units in hand and no way to cheapen them right now. With nothing in discard pile, Rasa in hand, kind of clogging that up a little bit is not ideal. So it's like we're trying to be able to draw more here by going for the Sunken Temple.
And there's the Rebuke coming off the Sunken Temple trigger. And you're conquering with a Mighty. You get to pay 1 if you so want and draw a card. Traveling Merchant going in for the discard draw. Wonder if we're getting rid of this Stellar Corn.
Yeah.
Decided that we are far enough in terms of card advantage ahead. Also allows us to draw that On Guard, so we have a slew of protection for the next turn.
Are we going to see one of those big back and forth battles once again?
I feel like we are. Like, I saw a Defiant Dance, an On Guard, a Rebuke in hand. If you're LSU, you want to hold that Rebuke for as long as possible. Make Vendorty use as many tools in their toolkit, as many cards as possible out of their hand before you just bounce a unit to the enemies, the opponent's enemies. That's the League of Legends one there. The opponent's hand.
It's a tough one, though. Vendorty still has a lot of power on board. We've got multiple mighty units. We've got ways of making them bigger, and it's just, I'm not sure it's going to be enough. LSU does have a lot of runes standing, though. We've got 3 spells, so we've got the On Guard, which is going to be able to buff, but that's not super helpful, and Not So Fast might be what kind of turns the tide in this instance if Vendorty decides to go particularly impressive. And I think you go for the Irelia. It's just kind of alone right now and vulnerable in that sense.
I understand that. I think Vendorty will have in their mind, this Irelia is alone. Why is this Irelia alone?
Yeah, it should not be alone. I will take that.
When you're choosing it as well, it gives that +1 might. You also have the on guard. So an on guard here onto the Irelia is +3 might, effectively, because of the choose. And then you also have a Defiant Dance in hand, which is another +3 might, -2 might, so a 5 might swing alongside the Rebuke as well. If you ever get to a position where you are actually overpowering the Irelia, we'll go in with the Unsung Hero and the set at 8.
A spent buff set, so it's at 8. Wowza. So yeah, we've gone in big on for a 13. Thank you for that quick maths.
That's all right. That's what I'm here for.
Going in with a big 13, trying to say, look, I think this is going to be too much, even if you come back at me. And that's what I was talking about with that pure might total, rather than using spells like Punch First, which could be kind of sent back your way, that could be counter-spelled.
And for LSU, there's a risk of a double Punch First coming out of Vendorty, right? That's an extra 10 might immediately. If they are put on the same target, Rebuke then becomes an incredible option for you, but Vendorty is 8 and 2. I don't think he's going to double punch first on the same target, you know? I think it would be a little foolish overall. Also, Riposte, a threat. The good thing for Irelia in this matchup is that your buff spells tend to not have a huge energy cost, so Riposte is only giving a +1 or +2 instead of something like a big +5 or 6 that can sometimes happen. LSU thinking through the sequencing here. Defiant Dance first. The most probable option for that +3 -2. But even then, you are only getting to 7 yourself.
So we're not quite there yet, but we still have the Rebuke. We can still send something flying back to its owner's hand. Defiant Dance bringing those totals.
So importantly, the reason you put the first counter on here is you have chosen the Irelia Fervent.
Yes.
So that it gets the +1 might from being chosen. Now we see the next sequence come out. The Irelia moves up to 7. We go down to 11 on the side of Vendorty.
But I don't think it's going to be enough now, because we now see the Rebuke come out and probably push the set back.
I think you push the Unsung Hero back.
Yeah.
Because the set is down to 2. There's the Riposte.
Oh, that is a well-timed Riposte if I've ever seen one.
And we'll see what the Riposte is targeting. It's going to give that +2 across. It's going to go onto the Unsung Hero. So that's an extra 2 over there. This is why I need to do the math the entire time. So we've still got 7 here. And then on this side, it sets at 2. +5 +2 is 9, as far as my maths is working. And on guard takes us to 10.
Takes us to 10, 8, 9, 10, yeah.
Just gonna trade.
Whoa, just gonna trade. Gonna keep it simple. I don't love Irelia coming out of play in this stance, but then removing the set is still a big deal. Yeah,
yes it is. I wonder if we have, I was thinking a last rites here would be nice, but it's not in hand. Double Rasa, Seal on guard. Deciding against using all of the resources there. And I don't blame LSU for backing out at that point, because you have to look at how much energy and how many runes Vendorty still has up. If you then on guard and get blown out by a punch first, you've invested so much into this Irelia, and you're losing those combat trips. It's what cost him in game 1.
The triple Rasa in hand actually hurts me with so little in discard right now. We've got 3 big units that are just so expensive to cost, and we don't really have a way of churning through our deck right now. So maybe actually we're kind of thinking about allowing things to be defeated so that we actually are gaining more in our trash to allow for the earlier plays of those cards. We kind of do want to be cycling through some of our resources in some sense, because it's all we've got going on right now.
On the other side, we have a Call to Glory, a Hidden Blade, a Challenge, and an Akshan at the back. So I want to avoid putting those GAs down if you are LSU.
Looks like we're just going to be attaching the Doran's Blade here to Fiora. Again, making her mighty is always a good shout. She gets lots of fantastic effects. Doran's Blade, of course, giving a +2 power on that one as well. Definitely worth its weight in gold in this instance.
It is.
And then do you want to do much else with your turn? We've expended a lot, and I think it's just...
Oh, you're going to Worthy in?
We're going to move it. We're going to go for it. Knowing that LSU used a lot of resources in that previous battle, maybe they're assuming that there isn't anything left.
This is an on-guard moment, though. You on guard and you trade in.
On guard, and I think that was the beautiful thing about keeping that back, is that you made your opponent think you were out of resources, but that was false.
Really nicely done there by LSU, pulling Vendorty into the battle, but with the call to glory, have the runes available to it, and now there is a defy. It's going to get countered.
Okay, we're still going, and more resources are going to LSU's trash at this point, which is great for them. They're loving playing these cards at this point, because it's making things cheaper for them later.
Vendorty's going to be mad. You lose the Fiora worthy. Thought it was safe, could have just held back, I think, was trying to get over that, you know, the 2-point threshold that LSU is already at, so it would have been great to be able to wipe away all the units at the board, but a little bit overeager there from Vendorty, and it's kind of been the catchphrase of this series, a little bit overeager at times. It's a difficult battle to play. We've got into day 2 already, 3 p.m. here, so players have been around for 5 hours already just today, but
and we're struggling at this point if we're LSU, because we really are wanting to get more units into play. So being able to take out that big Fiora threat is huge, because we're still a little bit away from our Razas, and I don't think they were just counting up the trash there to see.
I think it was 9.
Oh, so actually we can afford it now.
Yeah, you can play the Rasa, so I think we're going to float the energy here, use the seal to play a Rasa. I mean, we could Traveling Merchant first for the discard draw, discard a Rasa, and then play the 2 others, but there's also 6 might that you're putting into your trash without a last rights to recur it. We'll count again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh,
was it only 7?
I thought it was more than that.
We can still play some cards first, so
I mean,
maybe move some more into the trash first, or just we're going in with Raza,
come out.
Just spending the extra cost to be able to get up there. I still love a big discount, so I'm still not mad at that.
Oh,
it's a cheap investment,
off.
right?
Yeah, you'll take 70% off when we can do it, and twice on Fridays.
I'll take that, yes please.
Another couple coming out here. It's a Tide Turner in base, can decide to switch with the Rasa.
Ooh.
Choosing the Rasa readies it, which now allows us to go in with the Unsung Hero. So the reason you put Tide Turner in base is then you can Blade Dancer the Rasa when the Tide Turner chooses the Rasa, readies it in the base, goes in, gets rid of the Unsung Hero, will be card draw for Vendorty.
Brilliant sequencing there to get that Rasa over, and then really batten down the hatches, make Vendorty sweat a little, and remove every last unit from their board, really showing the strength of Irelia and kind of what we were expecting from game 1, and then we just didn't see it come into fruition. But this time Vendorty's got a really big uphill struggle now. We can ready units. That's a positive, we love that, but we're still kind of lacking right now in having them available to play, so we're gonna need to really look at what we have available. We had the Akshan at the back of the hand last turn, so that might come into play, but I don't remember if there were any other units of note.
I think it was only the Akshan, a challenge, and a riposte.
Speaking of the devil!
We steal a gear, like, cool, go ahead, you're welcome to it. I don't think the seal is gonna do too much for you. Can only pay those purple chaos power costs. Although if something has a pay any power, you can use the seal for it. So it's still denying something from LSU, denying the ability to not have to recycle those runes does work. Aksha now equipped with that Doran's Blade.
Being able to use Fiora to channel another rune, exhausted, so we're keeping up the pace even though we're having to recycle to be able to do these attaches, going for another attach, just really using our only unit in play to be as big and beastly as it can be.
Yeah, currently sitting at 7. Sorry, 9, in fact. That's why I should do the maths first before I say something. I was trying to do it as I was talking. It just, you know, immediately fails. 9 is big. Challenge the Rasa. And you win that challenge. Not enough runes for the not-so-fast out of LSU.
I love a good challenge. You don't have to go into combat. You're not risking any comebacks. If they can't counter the challenge straight away, you know that that's gone, and it just limits the amount LSU gets going into their next turn, as they only get 1 hold point, putting them on 5, which is a much more awkward position to be in when you're looking at kind of that straight down to victory. I
was trying to just quickly do some maths, some thinking about where I'd be going here as LSU, because you still have double Rasa, right? So I'm wondering if you just all in on
I
Candlelit
think
Sanctum.
that
You're
would
just
be really
saying,
nice.
look, I'm at 5, you're at a couple of points. If I just Rasa here, it sounds like, oh, it's not even a couple, just at 1 point at the moment, Vendorty. Instead,
Yeah.
it's going to put it into base.
I think you do have the option of kind of taking it slow here,
Yeah.
but then you don't want to give Vendorty too much time to make a comeback.
The risk is, if you do go double Rasa into Candlelit Sanctum, a single punch first and a call to glory is +8,
Yeah.
right? That puts you in a really difficult position overall. So we're just going to sit with this Rasa back in base, hold the second one in our hand, look to try and go to 6, see if perhaps Vendorty overextends with the Akshan.
Going for an on guard, okay. Yep,
On guard
just
for the
to be
ready.
able to ready.
Yeah,
And then, yep, move on in and grab that 6th
draw a card
point.
as well as big.
It's huge right now, but unfortunately the only other card in hand is Rasa, so we don't have a lot to come back with.
Well, you do have the Sunken Temple trigger, right?
That is so
yeah,
true.
you pay the 1 to draw the card here. It's a called shot, which
Ooh.
is good, but not really what you wanted right now.
No, but it can help us to
Yeah.
flowy through and see more cards.
It looks like we're going to bring Traveling Merchant back for that discard draw, and it allows us to see more cards because of that. So
Yep,
we're going to
so-
discard,
ooh, okay,
get the
Ezreal.
Ezreal. Not enough runes to play it right now. It looks like we
No.
might retreat the Tide Turner 2. Saying that 3 times fast.
No thanks.
Tide Turner 2.
I think retreating the Titana is good here. You know that Vendorty has these really strong units ready. I think then just building up in base and then going
Yeah.
in for the win, going to the 7th and 8th points on the same turn. If this Rasa that is in Sunken Temple gets taken down, you're kind of okay with it because you're intending on taking the 7th and 8th point in the same turn.
You're going to have to work your way through an Akshan. Vendorty a long way behind currently. Has the Call to Glory challenge, riposte, Hidden Blade. Akshan's going to go in.
We're going
Kill
for
off
it.
the Rasa. We'll get that draw nice and early from Sunken Temple. Go to 2. LSU doesn't have a huge amount of might on board.
No, it's an uphill climb for Vendorty, but they can do it.
Yeah. Pay the energy, draw the card. I wonder if you challenge the Rasa just to remove some more of the power that LSU does have.
I think if you can, you should.
Yeah, looks like that's what we're going to go for. Get rid of the Rasa.
Yep. And there's no response. We know there's no response to that. 1 card in hand. We know what it is. But I think that is a tell. That tells Vendorty it's not anything they need to worry about.
And now we can start investing a little bit more on our side of the board. Will be an epic comeback. 1 to 6. Getting back into the game. Lucian will come down with the Weapon Master, steals away the Doran's Blade, becomes mighty. Can't ready it. We don't have the Fiora worthy, but we can channel 1 rune exhausted. And now just a Traveling Merchant and a Titan. There is 1 free point for you if you so desire
We
it.
do have the Rasa. Oh no, it
Double
was
double Ezreal in hand now.
Ezreal in hand, so we have a bunch of card draw, but is it going to be enough because we also need the runes to be able to play that? So we get a little bit more. Ooh,
Defiant Dance and a
okay.
Discipline.
I like the Defiant Dance in this instance.
Yeah, so do I. I think you go in, you get the 1 from Candlelit, and then you don't really look to try and kill the Akshan this turn. You're waiting for next turn, but the problem is then Vendorty is getting really strong.
That's
you
the
could
problem.
discipline onto the Ezreal to take him to 5, ready with Blade Dancer, and then we have the Defiant Dance, which takes Akshan down, but there's still enough runes on Vendorty's side for a punch first, and they have a riposte in hand.
Yeah.
So these are the things you have to play around. LSU wisely, I think, deciding not to go all in to try and kill off the game this turn.
I think honestly it's a very wise decision. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Note that you are so far ahead that you do have the option to take your time and then try and deal with Vendorty's kind of oncoming onslaught as you would expect from a deck like this within time. You've got a little bit of pace behind you. You've got a little more card draw now, and hopefully Vendorty's running out of resources of their own. Maybe not units, because that's not really how these decks go, but hopefully things like the Punch First just aren't quite there. Going into the Tide Turner with Lucian.
5
Looks
into
like we're
2.
going for the Defiant Dance here.
We'll make it 4 into 3.
Trying to see if we can just eke out combats and just whittle Vendorty down.
Call to Glory, no Defy. That
So
means
we
Tide
do
Turner
lose
loses.
that one,
Yeah.
so we're going up to the 3. Vendorty's uphill battle is still crushing onwards.
That it is. Lucian will be readied after the Conquer, and he wins for the first time. Gonna hit the Candlelit Sanctum trigger. You can look at the top 2. put them back in. All right, put any amount of them back on the bottom, recycle them, and then put the ones that you keep on the top in any order. So one on the top, one on the bottom.
So that top card is now something we want. We want that.
I mean, you would hope so.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, perhaps not the wisest choice to put it on the top. The amount of times I've been playing a card game, and I've, in other card games called Scry, right? I scried one, looked at it, being like, yes, I would like to keep that. And then when it gets around to my turn again, forgotten what the card was and being surprised.
And you're like, oh my goodness.
I think that speaks to my skill. A hidden blade hidden here for Vendorty, I believe, on that top battlefield. Really, yeah, one of the main hidden cards that you do play in this Fiora deck. Makes it harder for LSU to try and gain control of that area. Cold shot to kick us off. 1 power recycled.
Another Akshan, of course, in base as well, now ready to go as well. We don't really get anything from the effect of that, but just having another really strong unit on board there.
Riposting the cold shot. I mean, I love it. It was 1 card in hand for LSU. Why give him 2 more?
And you kind of know that the previous turn there wasn't a threat in hand, so you assume that actually this might still not be a threat. And indeed, we see it as the discipline goes in just to draw a card, I imagine, to try and hopefully get out of the situation.
It's a seal.
Ooh, not that helpful.
Yeah, not helpful whatsoever. However, Traveling Merchant can be sacrificed if you so desire. The seal is going to come down. Traveling Merchant, I mean, you still get the draw even if you don't discard. So we're going to go in here with 5 and 2, making 7 into the 7 of the Akshan.
Ooh,
the draw is a Ride the Wind from the Traveling Merchant move. No conquer happening.
Oh, it feels so bad. LSU is just so far behind at this point in regards to now board presence. So close yet so far, because we're so close to the win on points, but the board is empty.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly well played by Vendorty to stabilize after LSU was able to take such a lead early on.
Just picking apart that board.
There's triple Rasa in the graveyard. Like, what are you looking for at this point?
What's left? What's left that can handle
our last rights?
Our last rights.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. But then you need to be able to conquer with that, or to hold a battlefield. And at the moment, Vendorty's probably going to be looking at putting things into those battlefields that you can't deal with these smaller units. That's all you've got left, right? So at this point, Vendorty's thinking, okay, well, I probably want to be getting all of these really strong guys just sat on these battlefields. It's not necessarily about the points, although we do need those, but it's about making it really hard for LSU to be able to actually use last rights.
Just control the space. Akshan equipped with the BF sword, gets the mighty, channel a rune, and this is another thing that Fiora has been able to do really well, is just to replenish the runes.
Yeah,
like you look at the other side, LSU has 4? Three and a...
Three and a card
that's
in
his,
hand,
that's his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah.
That is painful.
That's what I'm saying. It's a really tough situation to be in, and Fiora's done this incredible job this game of keeping all of their resources really high strung and making sure that they're replenishing what they need to be able to make these really big plays.
I mean, also really big for Vendorty to come back like this, because they were only 1-0 up. This is the second game of the best of 3. If they weren't able to claim this in time, we'd be looking at a draw, rather going to 8-2-1 rather than the 9-2-0 that they are currently looking at. Defy Ride the Wind is nothing for LSU.
The uphill struggle is being successful. We've got both battlefields taken. If LSU can't dismantle one of these, then that's game over, and it doesn't look like we can. We have no units.
Nothing we can do. The fist comes up. Vendorty takes it from 6-1 down. Coming back and being able to claim the win there on the Fiora. Superb stuff all around by Vendorty.
Vendorty makes the climb. That is the biggest climb that I have seen during this tournament thus far, from going to such low and just sticking in there, believing in what his deck can do and taking it back from your opponent by just whittling them down. Yeah,
really impressive stuff from Vendorty. LSU, game 1, a bit of an overextension with the Ezreal, I think. Game 2 still struggled after losing their units early on to really get back into it. And as soon as Vendorty took control of the game, it really felt over. It's just great stuff all around from Vendorty as we round out round 11 here of RQ Bologna.
I think it was a really lovely tale as well to show why you should never give up.
Yeah, it's
We
true.
should never, ever give up.
Never
You've
give
just
up.
got to
Keep on going.
climbing. And speaking of climbing, it's time for us to climb over to the interview area to speak to
No,
our
there's
winner.
no interview.
Oh, no interview. Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness,
We can
I'm so sorry.
speak to each other, though, if you
Wait,
want.
oh, that would be good.
How are you
yeah.
doing? Are you enjoying Riftbound?
Having a great time,
Yeah, so am
honestly. I'm really pleased to have seen that matchup.
Yeah.
Really happy that we were able to highlight a deck we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, true. It was a lot of fun to watch the Fiora, and we're going to go to a break. We'll climb over the desk as opposed to do an interview. Goodbye. We'll be back. Auf Wiedersehen.